Decker slid a single sheet of paper across the conference table like he was doing me a favor. I looked down at it. 2 words in the subject line, senior contributor. That was it. No explanation needed, I guess. After 8 years of building the best operations team this company had ever seen, Decker Voss had decided to handle it with a job title on a piece of paper. My name is Wade Merritt. I'm 49 years old, team leader in operations at Hartwell Distribution Group, Columbus, Ohio, and I want to tell you exactly what happened the day my team won everything and got punished for it anyway. There were 9 of us around that table. I watched their faces as Decker kept talking. Sylvia, our data analyst who had not taken a real weekend off in 4 months. Hank, who ran our logistics workflow so tight that he once managed a full route audit from a hospital waiting room while his father was in surgery down the hall. Loretta, our project manager who postponed a knee surgery twice because she refused to hand off the Henderson rollout to anyone else. Boone, Flint, Bev, Patrice, Nadine, all of them sitting there absorbing what Decker was saying in that flat, rehearsed tone he used when he had already decided the conversation was over before it started. We had just finished the best quarter in Hartwell's history, 47% above target. The previous division record was 12%, set back in 2019. We had not just beaten it. We had made it look small, and Decker was telling us the reward was getting folded into Brad's group. Brad Voss, Decker's son, 31 years old. 3 consecutive quarters of missed numbers. Effective next Monday, Decker said, straightening his cuffs, your group will be absorbed into the Brad Voss division. Wade, you'll transition into a senior contributor role reporting to Brad directly. Nobody said anything for a moment, the kind of silence that has weight to it. Flint broke it first. He's our business development guy, not usually the one to speak up in meetings, but he leaned forward and said, so we hit 47% above target. The previous record was 12%, and the response is to put us under a group that missed numbers 3 quarters in a row. Decker looked at him like he was explaining something to a child. It's about division harmony. Your results have created tension across the floor. Other teams feel the gap. Bev, our risk analyst, said quietly, so we're being punished for doing our jobs too well. I wouldn't use the word punished. I had heard enough. I stood up, picked up my notebook, did not rush, did not raise my voice. Everyone on my team, I said, my office. Right now, Decker started to say something about the meeting not being finished. I was already at the door. They followed me out single file, nobody talking. We walked down the hall and into my office, 9 people in a space that comfortably fits maybe 4. I closed the blinds, locked the door, turned around and looked at them. Flint dropped into the chair in the corner. Is this the part where you tell us to stay positive and trust the process? No, I said. This is the part where I tell you something that doesn't leave this room, that got their attention. I leaned back against my desk and looked at all of them. These were not just employees. Sylvia had flown home from her sister's bachelorette weekend to finish a data poll we needed for the Henderson presentation. Hank had run a full compliance audit over Christmas. Loretta had said more than once that she considered this team the best job she'd ever had. They deserved the truth. 5 months ago, I said, when we started consistently breaking records, I noticed something. I started asking around about other high-performing teams at Hartwell over the years. What happened to them? I paused. Every single one of them got absorbed, reassigned, or quietly broken up within 18 months. Always during a restructure. Always under Decker's watch. Boone straightened in his chair. He had worked in compliance before joining us, and he had the look of a man connecting dots he had suspected for a while. So I made a call, I said. Gerald Holt, 71 years old, semi-retired, the man who started Hartwell with 3 trucks and a warehouse lease in 1987 and built it into what it is now. Most of the newer people on our floor had never met him. Some of them thought he was mostly just a name on the building. I had met him once about 3 years ago at the company's 35th anniversary dinner. We ended up at the same table and talked for almost an hour about logistics, about building crews, about what it actually takes to run operations that hold up under pressure. He gave me his card before he left. I kept it in my desk drawer and thought about it maybe twice a year. 5 months ago, I used it. I called him on a Tuesday evening and told him what I was seeing, the pattern, the numbers. The way high performance at Hartwell seemed to have a ceiling nobody talked about out loud. He went quiet for a long moment. Then he said, I have been watching the same thing for 4 years. I just needed someone on the inside who was willing to document it. We did not have to manufacture anything. We just kept doing what we were already doing, and we kept records of everything. Every metric, every decision, every communication. We let the operation run, and we waited to see how leadership would respond to genuine excellence. Today we had our answer. I looked around the room. There are 9 offers in this drawer. I pulled out the folder and set it on the desk. A subsidiary, fully backed by Gerald. Positions for every one of you at 28% above your current base salary, plus equity. The operating agreement has specific language protecting against penalizing high performance. We would each own a piece of what we build. The room was very still. Boone spoke first. What's the catch? The catch, I said, is that it's real, it's ready, and Decker has no idea it exists. Hank had been quiet through all of this. He looked up. How long have you been sitting on this? Long enough to know today was coming, I said. I didn't know exactly when, but I knew. Sylvia raised her hand slightly, which she never does. There's something else you should know. She pulled out her phone and showed me a screenshot of a folder directory. Week 8 of the Henderson project, I set up an automated sync. Every file, every data record, every performance metric, continuous backup to an encrypted personal drive. Timestamps. She looked around the room. I had a feeling. Patrice said slowly, does Decker know about the backup? Sylvia smiled. It was the first real smile I had seen from anyone in the last hour. He does not. I told them to take the weekend, read the folder, ask me anything. Whatever they decided, keep it quiet until we moved. Monday morning, I got up at 6, made coffee, sat at the kitchen table, and went through the offer one more time. Not because I had any doubts, but because I wanted to be sure I could answer every question they might come back with. By 7:30, the messages were already coming in. Sylvia confirmed first, then Hank, then Loretta, Boone, Flint, Bev, Patrice, Nadine, one by one, all 8 of them. We had agreed over the weekend on a simple plan. Everyone would draft their resignation letter Friday night. We would schedule them to send at exactly 9 a.m. Monday using the delay send function in our email client. That way, no one could be pulled aside and talked out of it before the others had a chance to submit. At 9:02 a.m., HR had 8 resignation letters sitting in their inbox. I heard Decker's office door slam at 9:13. He called me in before 10. I had never seen him look the way he looked that morning. Not panicked exactly, but close to it. The kind of expression a man gets when he realizes the thing he thought he controlled has already left the building. Whatever they've offered you, he said, I will match it, all of you. Name the number. It's not about the number, Decker. Then what is it about? He said it flat, not even as a question. You stood in front of my team and told them that doing excellent work was a problem. That's not something you can put a dollar amount on. He shifted fast. The desperation hardened into something colder. You'll regret this, all of you. I picked up my notebook from the chair. We already submitted our letters. HR has them. There's nothing left to discuss. I was back at my desk by 10:20. By noon, Nolan from Client Relations stopped by and told me quietly that Decker had pulled our full client list from the system that morning. He had started making calls, telling people the team had been redistributed for operational alignment, that I had been moved out of my role because I struggled with the demands of managing high-value accounts. 8 years. Reduced to a phone call, I texted the team. Daner on 5th, 6 p.m. We pushed 2 booths together. Nobody ordered much. Bev had her notebook out before the menus hit the table. He's getting to the clients first, I said. We knew this was a possibility. Now we know it's happening. Boone laid out the legal situation the way only someone with his background can, clear and without drama. Our non-compete covered active solicitation of business for 12 months. It said nothing about contacting clients to say goodbye. It said nothing about clients reaching out to us on their own. So we call them tonight, Loretta said. We call them tonight, I said. Not to pitch anything, not to ask for anything. We thank them for the work, we tell them we're moving on, and if they ask why, we tell them the truth. No embellishment, just what happened. Flint looked around the table. And if they ask where we're going, we tell them we can't solicit business. We leave it there. We split the list between us. By 7 p.m., we had dispersed across the city. I took our 3 largest accounts myself, sat in my car in the diner parking lot, and started with the biggest one first. June picked up on the second ring. She runs the key accounts division at our largest client, and she has been in the industry long enough to read between every line. Wade, you never call after hours unless something is wrong. I wanted you to hear this from me before you heard another version, I said, and I told her, kept it simple. We delivered the best quarter the division had ever seen. Leadership decided that was creating problems. We found somewhere that sees it differently. When I finished, she was quiet for a moment. Then she said, that explains the call I got from someone named Decker this afternoon. He told me your team was being restructured and that you had been reassigned due to performance concerns. My jaw tightened. I let it go. June, that's not accurate. You have our full project history. You know what we delivered. I know exactly what you delivered, she said. I approved every invoice personally because the results were that good. Where are you landing? I can't solicit business. But I can tell you we're not disappearing. She paused. I have a meeting Thursday morning. Are you free for coffee before that, say 7:30? That was not me asking for anything. That was June deciding something on her own. By 10 p.m., 4 of our 5 key contacts had asked to meet. Loretta texted the group her 2 accounts both wanted lunch that week. Hank's main contact had asked if we could talk Friday. Boone's client had called back within 20 minutes of him hanging up. None of us had asked for a single thing. We said goodbye and told the truth, and they came to us. That should have been the end of the hard part. It was not. 2 days before our final week wrapped up, Sylvia sent me a message at 6:44 a.m. It was a screenshot of a text she had received the night before. The message read, "This is Leanne Voss. I know you don't have my number. I'm Decker's niece. I was placed in your group 3 months ago as a talent development rotation. My uncle asked me to document internal complaints, flag slow approvals, anything that could make your numbers look harder to achieve than they were. I didn't do it. But I have the emails where he gave me those instructions in writing. I don't want any part of what he's doing now. If it helps, use them." I read it twice. Then I read it again. Leanne had been sitting in our team meetings for 3 months. She had access to our workflow, our timelines, our internal reviews. And instead of using any of it, she was handing us the one thing we did not already have, proof that the sabotage had been planned before we ever handed in our resignations. I forwarded the emails to Gerald at 6:49 a.m. He replied 11 minutes later. 4 words, "Good. I'll handle Thursday." The board meeting was called on a Thursday, 3 days after we cleared out our desks. Ride Mercer, a board director I had spoken to maybe twice in 8 years, called me personally. His voice was the kind of controlled that told me he had made a lot of calls like this one before. "Wade, we've received a formal complaint from Decker Voss. Allegations include coordinated client solicitation, misuse of proprietary data, and violation of non-compete terms. The board is convening at 11 a.m. Your presence is required." I told him I would be there. I drove to the office alone, did not tell the team until I was already in the parking garage. I did not want anyone showing up and making it look like we had staged something. I texted Sylvia, "Board meeting this morning." "Stand by," she replied in under a minute. Already standing by. The boardroom was on the 9th floor, a room I had been in exactly once before, for a division review 3 years ago. 12 board members around a long table. Decker was already seated at one end, looking like a man who had rehearsed this morning for a week. He had a folder in front of him and the kind of composure that comes from thinking you have already won. Reed gestured to the chair at the opposite end. I sat down. "Wade, thank you for coming on short notice. You've seen the nature of the complaint. Decker, please walk the board through your findings." Decker opened his folder and started talking. He had put together a presentation. Printed call logs showing our team had contacted clients after hours on a Tuesday. Calendar screenshots with 4 client meetings highlighted. A summary document framing the whole thing as a coordinated extraction campaign. Then he pushed a set of spreadsheets across the table. "These are the actual performance records," he said. "Not the numbers Wade's team reported internally, the raw data from our central system. Timelines missed, budget variances, projects that were signed off as complete but left significant follow-up for other divisions." I looked at the spreadsheets. I had never seen them before, not because they were new, but because they were not real. Every number on those pages had been changed. "Those records are fabricated," I said. "They're from the company database," Decker said. "Entered by your team leads over the past 2 quarters. Willa, the CFO, leaned forward. She had her reading glasses on and was going through the pages carefully. "Wade, these show the Henderson rollout came in 11 days late and 14% over budget. Your internal reports showed it finished ahead of schedule." "Because it did," I said. "What you're looking at has been altered." Decker spread his hands. "The system doesn't alter itself." Reed looked at me. "Do you have anything that contradicts what we're seeing?" "Yes," I said. "May I?" He nodded. I opened my laptop and pulled up my email. Sylvia had sent a package at 10:51 a.m., 9 minutes before the meeting started. I had not even had time to open it in the parking garage. I opened it now. The file contained 3 things. Our original archived records with full authentication timestamps, a side-by-side comparison against Decker's version showing exactly which numbers had been changed and by how much, and a system access log. I connected to the room's display and put it on the main screen. Week 8 of the Henderson project, I said, our data analyst set up an automated backup sync to a personal encrypted drive. Every record, every file, every metric, timestamped at the point of creation and updated continuously. I scrolled to the access log. This is the company's own system record. It shows that on Friday night at 11:47 p.m., someone logged into the operations database using their personal credentials and modified 23 records across 2 quarters of project files. I let the room read the name on the log. Decker Voss. The room went quiet in a way that felt different from regular quiet. Willa took her glasses off. She looked at the screen for a long moment, then looked at Decker. He opened his mouth. That log could have been generated by anyone with access to the system settings. This is a setup. The login credentials are yours, I said. The timestamp is 11:47 p.m. on a Friday. The 23 records that were changed correspond exactly to the ones in the folder you just handed to this board. Reed said, very evenly, Decker, would you like to respond to that? Before Decker could say anything, the boardroom door opened. Gerald Holt walked in. He moved a little slower than he probably used to, leaning slightly on a cane, but the room shifted the way rooms do when someone with real authority enters. Half the board members straightened without realizing they were doing it. Sorry for the interruption, Gerald said. He pulled out the chair midway down the table and sat down. Then he set a small digital recorder on the table in front of him. Ohio is a one-party consent state. I've been a board member for 34 years. I believe that qualifies me to document matters affecting my own interests. Decker's composure cracked for the first time all morning. Gerald, this is an internal operational review. Your involvement here is, I was informed of this session by Reed yesterday afternoon. Gerald said simply, as a sitting board member, I have every right to attend. He looked at the recorder. I also attended the divisional announcement meeting last Monday, remotely. The one where you told Wade's team that their performance was a problem for division harmony. He pressed play. The recording was clear, conference room acoustics, a little hollow, but every word came through without effort. Decker's voice. The real issue is that this group is making Brad's numbers look like what they are. I'm not letting that continue past this quarter. Brad Voss, his son, the same Brad Voss who had just been handed the team leader position over the merged division. Reed set his pen down on the table. He did it carefully, the way you set something down when you're trying to stay composed. You modified company records to discredit a team that had already resigned, he said. You filed a formal complaint based on those records, and you restructured a division to install your own son in a leadership role. Decker said nothing. This meeting is adjourned. Reed said, Decker, you will remain. Everyone else is free to go. I closed my laptop, picked up my bag, walked to the door, and did not look back. The team was waiting in the lobby. All 8 of them standing in a loose cluster near the elevators. Nobody sitting down. They looked up the second they saw me come through the glass doors. Hank spoke first. Well, Sylvia's timing, I said. Perfect. She let out a long breath. He was too calm on Monday. I figured he had something planned. Flint looked between us. So it's done. The board has what they need, I said. Gerald handled the rest. We stood there for a moment, the 9 of us in that corporate lobby, with its polished floors and its Hartwell logo on the wall behind the reception desk. It felt strange being in that building knowing we were never coming back to it as employees. Boone looked at me. You knew this was coming, not just today. All of it. I knew Decker would not let us walk away clean, I said. Men like that never do. So I made sure we had nothing to hide and everything documented. Loretta said quietly, what about Leanne? I had thought about that on the drive over. Leanne Voss had put herself in a difficult position. She had gone against her uncle, a man who had placed her in that rotation and probably thought he was doing her a favor. Whatever happened next at Hartwell, her name was going to come up. I told Gerald about her before the meeting. I said, he knows she cooperated. He'll make sure she's treated fairly. That was all I could do for her. Sometimes the right thing costs people something, and the best you can offer is to make sure it is not wasted. We walked out together into a gray Columbus morning and stood on the sidewalk outside the building. Nobody moved toward their cars right away. Hank finally said, so what does next week look like? Monday we go to work, I said, for ourselves. He nodded slowly, like that was still settling in. Took long enough. The 30-day internal review moved faster than I expected. Ride Mercer ran it himself, which I took as a sign that the board wanted it done properly and wanted it done once. The findings were not complicated. Decker had modified company records. He had filed a formal complaint using those records as the basis. He had restructured a division to benefit his own son without disclosing the relationship to the board. 3 separate violations, each one sufficient on its own. Decker Voss was terminated at the end of the review period. His position was eliminated. Brad Voss was removed from the team leader role and reassigned. The entire middle management tier went through a structural review, and within 2 months, Hartwell had redesigned its division leadership around what they were calling innovation hubs, smaller autonomous teams with direct reporting lines to senior leadership, no intermediary layer sitting between good work and the people who could recognize it. I heard about all of this secondhand, mostly through Gerald, who stayed in regular contact. He seemed satisfied in the way a man gets satisfied when something he has been trying to fix for years Finally gets fixed, not excited, just settled. Our venture launched on a Monday in late October. We had an office on the second floor of a building in the short north. Nothing fancy, good light, room for the 8 of us to work without sitting on top of each other. Sylvia had set up our data infrastructure over the prior 3 weeks. Boone had the operating agreements finalized. Loretta had a project board on the wall by Friday of the first week. Our first major project came in through June, who had brought 2 of her colleagues from other divisions along when she made the switch. We finished 3 weeks ahead of the contracted timeline. The client sent a note to Gerald directly, which he forwarded to me with no comment. He did not need to add one. By the end of the first quarter, 11 client accounts had come over. Not because we had chased any of them, because word moves through an industry the way water moves through anything. It finds the open spaces. People talk to each other. They ask who they can trust. Our name kept coming up. 6 months in, Reed Mercer sent me an email on a Tuesday afternoon. The company was holding its annual leadership summit in the spring. He wanted to know if I would be willing to speak. The topic he suggested, how to build and retain high-performing teams before they decide to leave. I read the email twice. Then I called Gerald. "You gonna do it?" he asked. "Yeah," I said. "I think I am." "Good, tell them the truth." That is usually enough. The night before the summit, Hank and I drove over to the venue to check the setup. We stood at the back of the empty room looking at the stage and the rows of chairs. "You know what you're going to say?" he asked. More or less, he was quiet for a moment. "You knew from the beginning how this was going to go, didn't you?" "I knew Gerald would listen if I called," I said. "I knew our work was real and documented. Everything else, Decker chose that himself." Hank nodded. One call. We drove back separately. I sat in my car in the parking garage for a few minutes before heading home, not processing anything in particular, just sitting with it. If you have ever put in the work, done the job right, covered for your people when it mattered, and still watched someone move the goalpost on you, then you already know what this story is really about. It is not about revenge. It is not about winning. It is about refusing to let someone else define what your work is worth. You do not need to blow anything up. You do not need to make a scene. You need the truth. You need documentation. And you need one person in the right place who is willing to listen. I was lucky that person picked up the phone. If you're sitting on something like this right now, find that person, make the call. The longer you wait, the more ground the other side gains. Excellence does not have to apologize for itself, and neither do you.